Hey guys, today I want to make a video sharing the basic fundamentals to tunneling as well as playing as an IGL in competitive Fortnite. So with the first and straight tunnel, it's always two floors placed top down and then two walls left right or right left depending on your preference. And you do this while running straight, and the reason why you want to not turbo build and click it individually is because if you hold turbo build, you'll always accidentally place a floor or a wall right in front of you right as you get to it. So there's also another method of straight tunnels which saves you materials, is that when you look left or right to place your wall, you also place a ramp. And I would recommend not doing this because it doesn't consider the safety of your team, because once someone sees a weak tunnel like this and they start shooting as your teammates are following you, they'll be wide open, so you might as well be tunneling a lot more safer straight. So there's also diagonal tunnels, which is also two floors and then two walls, but depending on which direction you're going. And you can turbo build these pretty easily, so you don't have to place each material individually. So if you're going purely diagonal because you need to go in that direction, you can just keep running, hold W, and just keep placing. And in slow motion, it's just the same kind of two floors top down and then two walls left right. And in cases where you're at the far side of one of the circles and the storm, you can just keep blocking out only one side. So let's say your right side is clear, you can just keep running and doing a diagonal tunnel without having to worry about one of your sides, and same with a straight tunnel. So with going up and down a tunnel, it's usually a reaction to circumstances in the game. So with going up, it's usually because there's an elevation change where you need to go up a mountain, or that there's other teams on the same floor as you, which they can easily shoot at you. So when you want to go up a floor, it's a double ramp, and then two walls from bottom to top on the left and then the right. And you can do this while running forward. And normally you're going to do them consecutively if you need to go up a mountain, but for the most part, you'll only need to do it once, and then you can continue a tunnel from there. Now with going down a tunnel, you have to consider the safety of your team, and most of the time that you need to go down is because you're being pressured from above, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So you want to make sure that where you're going down is not out in the open, it's going to be in the safety of a box. So when you edit down and you waterfall, you want to quickly catch yourself with the floor and cover your sides, and then you can quickly continue your tunnel. So it helps to know also how to react to other people's builds, and knowing all the scenarios and how to react to them will kind of help you not panic when you see it when you're tunneling. So a common scenario is when you're tunneling, you'll realize that there's another player's builds where your wall should place, and your first instinct should always to be placing a ramp facing them. And let's say this brick is the storm or another team, you're going to want to place a ramp facing the threat, and your main goal is going to be to kind of get out of this half tunnel until you can get a full tunnel to yourself. Now, the main reason you want to place ramp facing them is if you look back and you place a ramp down, you're gonna have your back to them, and you're not gonna get any information from them. So you're gonna want to place the ramp facing them, and you're gonna want to get out of that sticky situation as soon as you can. Now, another scenario is when you're tunneling and you run into another team's wall in front of you, and you can't keep going forward. Now, the safest option is always to go out to one of your sides. So you want to edit one of your sides out and then continue tunneling. Reminder to place the ramp and then to get to your own safe tunnel. Another situation is when you're tunneling and you run into a situation where one of the floors is not yours. And in this case, there might be people above you which can edit and shoot at you from above. So once you see this scenario and you can't like start tunneling like away from them, you're gonna want to be placing cones, because if you have a cone on their floor, they're not going to be able to edit you down. So if I see them like above, I'm going to start placing cones above, and for below is when there's a team below you. So you'll see that there's a team below you, so you're going to want to just start tunneling and doing the same tunnels that you do, but instead with cones. Now if you do manage to go in front of them and you have both a floor and a cone, you'll be able to box up and edit them down, and I guarantee you that no matter who you edit down, they're going to panic and they're not going to know what hit them, so it's almost always a free kill. So there's also times as an IGL where I'm always thinking for the team and not for myself individually, so I need to think ahead. A lot of times I'm trying to tunnel us ahead of the storm, so usually in moving zones, if I'm moving with the zone and it's right in front of me, I can just keep moving and safely tunneling. And I don't want to be in the very far back of the storm trying to catch up and like running and struggling to get there. And also with taking height, if you can tunnel deep into the circle, you can place a ramp and you can shoot down height quickly, and as well as with your team, they can also edit out and shoot down height. And that situation you'll only really get if you're ahead of the storm, because if you're at the far back and you place a ramp and look back, the storm's already caught up to you, so you can't really do that. And with materials, I try to think of materials as a total of the team. So in a squad, everyone has 1500 mats, and your team has a total of like 6000. So you want to consider that, and that when you're tunneling, you're first prioritizing your hard materials, which protects your team, and that as long as all of your team is alive, you'll be able to have enough mats to win the game. And that's kind of what I think about. And so I'm thinking of like the macro movements of the team and kind of like how many mats we have as a team. Not every player on your team needs to be worrying about the materials and the playstyle of Team Fortnite. All your resources are as a team, like your minis and as well as your materials. So as long as the tunneler has materials, you're good to just keep tunneling and making sure that your team stays alive. And usually you want your team following you and giving you all the materials, and also having someone else that can pick up the tunnel for you if you, let's say, need to heal and lose some health. And also, as an IGL and front tunneler, I see myself getting knocked down a lot. So usually when you get knocked down, you want to first box up and then regroup with your team. So as a teammate, you also want to react the same way. If everyone gets knocked down, then you're all going to be on the same layer, but if only a few people get knocked down, you want to make your way back up to your teammates where someone else might have continued the tunnel. So it's important to box up and regroup when you get separated from your team, because the moment you're separated as a team, one tunnel becomes two tunnels. So yeah.